Both weigh 139 as they come to the ring tonight, and of course, to go along with the height advantage, an 8-inch reach advantage for the Mexican challenger. Punch that numbers, Larry.
If Bazan does not get blown over by the wind here, his numbers sort of match Johnston's punch for punch, punches landed and punches thrown. But it is in the jabs that you see what Bazan's fight plan is, being as tall as he does. He does everything off that jab. Johnston, who is a southpaw,
wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 20. That's www.hbo.com/boxing. Now let's go to Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the windy Sun Bowl of El Paso, Texas, where tonight, Top Rank Incorporated, along with your undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser, this Buds for You, present an evening of World Championship Boxing for your entertainment, sanctioned by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation and the the World Boxing Council, President Jose Suleiman. WBC supervisor for this first bout will be Roy Van Putten. The 3 judges assigned scoring this bout on the 10-point must system will be David Harris, Omar Minton, and Oren Schellenberger. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Lupe Garcia. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 12 rounds of boxing for the WBC Lightweight Championship of the World. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. He's wearing white with green and red and weighs 133 3/4 pounds. His professional record, 31 victories, 23 by knockout with only 2 losses and 1 draw. Here is the WBC #1 ranked challenger in the world, damas y caballeros, de Ciudad de Mexico, Cesar. And his opponent across the ring in the red corner, wearing blue trimmed with white, weighing 133 pounds. His professional record, a perfect 24 consecutive victories without a loss, scoring 13 knockouts along the way. From the Mile High home of the champion Broncos, Denver, Colorado, presenting the undefeated WBC lightweight champion of the world, Stevie Little but Bad Johnston.
Okay, give you the instructions in the dressing room. Ya les di las indicaciones en los vestidores. Make a good fight, overall clean. Hagan una buena pelea, sobre todo limpia, y que ganen mejor. Go to your corners.
Stevie Johnston is little but bad, but he's going to have to be little but very good to beat Bazan in what is in effect Bazan's hometown here in El Paso.
And we told you earlier that because of the high winds gusting to as much as 80 miles per hour here inside the stadium, our trusses holding the lights have been moved down to about half their normal height. It dramatically changes the environment here at ringside. Could this distract the fighters, Roy?
No, I don't think it will distract the fighters. Main reason is that it's still light outside. They can see pretty good. They will have no problem looking at one another. The lights may not be as hot because of the wind. So I think it'll be good for the fighters, actually.
Bazan told us this is the first time he's ever fought outdoors. How different is it?
Well, it's a little bit different, but when you're coming up in the amateurs, I'm sure, I mean, you fight inside, you fight everywhere. The environment is not different. The air is still the same. I mean, I don't think it's much different to fight outside. Now, if the sun were out and was being hot, then I think he'd have a problem.
Could strong gusts of wind affect the fighter's balance?
No, I don't think so. If it did, it'd be worse on Bazan because he's taller.
Yep. And Bazan told us his fight plan would be to try to keep Stevie Johnston out at the end of his jab, keep Johnston from getting inside on him. Bazan's trainer believes that Johnston will look to butt if he gets inside, and he wants Cesar to stay away from that.
I don't think Johnston's ever been known to be a butt or a dirty fighter.
I agree.
But he has to get in close because he can't stand outside and deal with this long jab of Bazan.
So as a southpaw, looking at the challenge he's facing here, what does the champion Stevie Johnston do to get inside, Roy?
Just what he's doing. Bazan is letting him walk right inside. So if he can walk right inside, he's getting low. He's flipping the jab. He's coming right inside and just working on the inside like he's supposed to. That's the best fight for him.
Because Stevie Johnston has fought so many rounds as a contender and as a champion, there are some of the sport who think he may soon be on the downside. But he's off to a fast start here in round number 1 against Cesar Bazan. Left hook landed in there for Bazan. First serious punch for the Mexican challenger. You see Stevie Johnston trying to work to the body and burrowing inside against the taller fighter.
Bazan is a very strong puncher, Jimmy. Lands a good body shot to Steve's body. And he's fighting very definitely inside for a tall fighter.
Straight right hand lands for Bazan. Johnston digs inside to the body with the left. Another left to the body by Johnston. Bazan with that right uppercut that he loves to throw.
Johnston already has a nosebleed from that uppercut.
So one fighter is marked. Round one comes to a close. Johnston ending the round with a long left, but he's the one who's bleeding from a nostril as he goes back to his corner. In Bazan's corner, our translator is Ray Torres. They speak predominantly Spanish there.
Let's get some grease on him. No salió a correr, salió a fajarse. Lo que tenemos que hacer es he's not out there to run. He came to fight. He's going to be aggressive. So you need to be there close to him and throw some uppercuts. Brinca a little bit. Brinca a little bit. Okay, let's go.
Box numbers in round number one. Bazan threw a total of 80 punches, landed 25. Stevie Johnston, much more economical, but landed 26 of 54 for a 48% connect rate. Bazan threw 39 jabs, landed only 7 of them. Against previous opponents, he's been landing over 50% of his jabs. So Johnston's head movement and elusiveness a factor in the bout early.
Yeah, that's the only way he's really going to have a chance, because if he lets this tall fighter start landing the jab, it could mean a short night for Steve Johnston.
Surprising so far that Johnston has been the aggressor.
No, because he has to be the aggressor. He's shorter. He knows he's in this guy's hometown, so he has to beat him. And the only way for him to have a decent chance is to get close. He's not going to hit Bazan from the outside because he's not that long.
I agree with you, Roy. I'm only suggesting that he has a reputation as a counterpuncher, but here he sees what he has to do, and he's quickly adapted his style.
You heard Bazan's corner asking him to throw more uppercuts. Roy pointing out it was the right uppercut in the first round that caused Johnston's nose to bleed. Johnston beating Bazan to the punch for the moment, working to the body.
Bazan has pretty good head movement for a tall guy himself, Jim. You don't often see tall guys move their head as much as he's doing.
Right hand lands for Bazan. Solid punch. Johnston working mostly to the body so far. That's the textbook way of chopping down a taller fighter. These fighters in the lightweight division, think about how either might match up against Shane Mosley, whose talents you've seen here on HBO in a couple of stirring recent performances. I don't think either one of these guys exhibits the kind of power that we've seen Mosley show.
No, neither the quickness.
Combination there for Bazan. Johnston still trying to get inside and dig to the body. Cesar Bazan starting to land with a little bit more frequency in this round. Still to come tonight, Oscar De La Hoya live against Patrick Charpentier. De La Hoya's last fight was toward the end of last year against Wilfredo Rivera in Atlantic City. The left wrist was the reason for the long layoff and the reason that the Charpentier fight was originally scheduled for February, later moved to March, and then moved back to June. So it's an exceptionally long layoff for De La Hoya, and one that he wanted after having fought 5 times in 1997. He says that he first injured the wrist several years ago hitting the heavy bag, and that it has bothered him in several fights since then. Now, supposedly, it's okay. There was no surgery, just the long rest and rehabilitation.
Nothing for you understand? Breathe deep, breathe deep. Stay low. What we worked on in the gym. Stay there, don't go. You the man, show me you the goddamn man. You stay there.
CompuBox numbers show you that Johnston has outlanded Bazan in the first 2 rounds. Bazan only 11 of 78 on his jabs through round 2, after having landed 63% of them against some previous opponents. But Johnston's head movement a factor, and of course if he keeps the jab out there, you don't always have to land it. It's still a factor if you're throwing it all the time.
Yeah, it is, because it keeps your opponent blind where he can't really get a chance to think about what you're going to do or what he's going to do. Doesn't give him a chance to relax.
So I'm sure Bazan's corner will tell him to keep working the jab regardless of whether he's landing at the frequency he's accustomed to. Johnston trying to force Bazan to prove that he can fight inside. Bazan beginning to respond to his corner's request to throw more uppercuts. He throws them with both the right and the left hand, missing there. Little right hook landed for Stevie J. Johnston says that football's still his favorite sport. If he didn't weigh 135 pounds, he'd be playing it. Jab and right cross across the top for Bazan. Starting to work a little harder on combinations, trying to put punches together. Flailing right hand to the body by Cesar. And Stevie Johnston still trying to get inside and pound that Bazan ribcage. Across the top by Bazan as Johnston left himself open. Uppercuts to the body and to the face by Bazan.
That's a beautiful right to the body that Bazan is landing, Jeff. They can work an opponent over a period of time.
Bazan, well aware that Johnston's working almost exclusively to his body, returns the favor.
What should Johnston do, Roy, to counteract the uppercuts?
Well, it's not much he can do because he has to stay low. The only thing he can do is maybe put his right hand in front of his face when he's going low.
The guy. Make sure you feint and don't forget the uppercut. You can't stress that.
Así como está. Las cuerdas hacen un paso.
Okay, let him get to this, Doc. You're the man. This shit is easy if you listen to the instructions. Stay inside, baby.
Normally, the shorter man in a fight like this had better punch harder than the taller man, because he's going to pay a price for getting inside. So far, Johnston has not exhibited that he punches harder than Bazan. Harold Letterman, how do you have it through 3 rounds?
Larry,
I got a 2-1 Cesar Bazan. I give the first round to Stevie Johnston because he's not having any problems getting inside. It's a very interesting fight. The tall guy doesn't have real good stat to that left jab. Stevie Johnston gets inside, and Cesar Bazan outfights him. I mean, he lands great left hooks, good right uppercuts. He's just outfighting Stevie Johnston inside to win rounds 2 and 3. 2-1 Cesar Bazan.
I have the same score.
And if you go by CompuBox numbers, Bazan turned the tide considerably in round number 3, outlanding Johnston 32 punches to 17, after Stevie Johnston had managed to outland Bazan in the first 2 rounds. It will take a determined effort for Steve Johnston to win this fight tonight.
He has the determination. It's just the fact is whether can he keep the body shots off of him so that he'll have the strength to maintain himself over a long period of time. He's very determined, but this Bazan is a big puncher.
And Bazan working uppercut, uppercut, uppercut. Now, there's a danger in that. If you start reaching with the uppercut, a good counterpuncher can find your chin.
Yeah, but the way he's hitting to the body right now, Bazan, Stevie Johnston may not have the power to do anything when he does find the chin later on. And Stevie's doing a good job of going back to the body.
It's a ribcage war right now, as they belly up as though in a phone booth and bang to each other's bodies.
The ring is no place for sissies in this fight.
And Bazan might have been a little tight and a little nervous in the first round. He seems to have loosened up now, and his punches are getting sharper with each passing minute.
That's one thing I used to be so traditional about the Mexican fighters when I was coming up. They seem to start out at mediocre speed and speed up and get stronger as the fight went on. And Bazan is the perfect example of that.
Very similar to its predecessor round.
An uppercut perhaps, just as he threw there with the right.
Fascinating. By CompuBox numbers, there were 180 punches thrown in round number 4. Cesar Bazan throwing 92 of them. And he's virtually dispensed with the jab, which was regarded as one of his biggest weapons coming in. 31 of Bazan's 32 connects in the 4th round were power shots. And, you know, Stevie Johnston can say to himself, well, I've taken his jab away. It may not serve him all that well if he's giving up the body instead.
Yeah, he's giving up the body and he's giving up the uppercut on the inside. What's really happening is he's paying a price to get in, a heavy price, but once he gets there, he's still not winning because Bazan is such a good inside fighter.
Straight right hand lands for Bazan, so does the uppercut right up under the neck. Johnston comes back, working to Bazan's ribcage himself. Johnston's head a little stiller than it was in the earlier rounds. Bazan not yet going there, still working to Johnston's ribs. Now Bazan begins to work up top. First time in a couple of rounds.
The reason he did that, Jim, was because Johnston sat still outside for him, just like he's doing right now. And if he does this, it's going to be easy work for Bazan.
The large Mexican and Mexican-American crowd, not really a big factor in the fight. They're not all that noisy at this point. Some support at ringside for Bazan. Most people waiting for De La Hoya to make his entrance. Johnston lands a hard left upstairs. One of his best punches in a while.
gaining momentum a little bit, Jim. Johnston.
Yeah, he's going to have to be a brawler now. The boxing is over with. Both fighters have made adaptations to their styles. Johnston's going to have to make a real war out of it, if it isn't that already.
I think it is.
So Larry's suggesting, Roy, that Johnston should go wild, get even more unorthodox.
Not go wild. He's just suggesting that he gets close to where he can punch and make it a punch-for-punch fight right now. If he stands still on the outside like he was doing a little while ago, it's not going to be good for him.
Stevie lands a right uppercut in there.
I thought Johnston might have out-hustled Bazan in that round.
You need to pressure the guy. You're going back. You need to go. He is slowing down, so you need to put the pressure on him.
No. Va la pelea para
The fight is about even now. You got to tell him the truth. The fight is even. We're not winning yet. Let's pull it in there and let's go for it. You got the opportunity. He's a short guy. You got the reach. Go for it. You got the conditioning. Let's go for it.
Stay inside, baby. You know what to do.
Committing to every body shot. Bazan showing some bruises and red marks now around his face. Stevie Johnston's been able to get to him. You can see how fiercely Bazan is whacking to Johnston's body, particularly with the right hand.
Yeah, but Johnston's also whacking to Bazan's body pretty hard with the straight left hand. I just don't know if he possesses the punching power that Bazan has.
Either man wants to go backward even a half a step.
They not only lowered the lights here, they could have narrowed the ring in this win for these two guys.
Yeah, because they don't need much of it, that's for sure. Good body shot by Johnston.
Thing about lowering the lighting truss, our effects mic in the center of the ring is closer to the action than ever before, and so you're hearing more of these body shots than would normally be the case. Good left hand for Steve Johnston. Johnston showing his courage and determination, finally gets Bazan to back up.
Well, Johnston has the heart of a champion for sure.
Almost halfway through Schedule 12, World Lightweight heavyweight title is Stevie Johnston in a fixed battle with challenger Cesar Bazan. Join us July 28th for the next installment of Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. Featured in this edition, a heartwarming story about the effort to save racing thoroughbreds from the slaughterhouse. A discussion with Pete Rose on his thoughts about being frozen out of baseball's Hall of Fame. And a visit behind prison bars with former boxing sensation Tony Ayala, now waiting to resume his boxing career. Real Sports, where nothing is out of bounds. And Larry, they say that there are various promoters and managers waiting with contracts for Ayala upon his emergence from a long stint behind bars.
Take another shot. Baby, now we're working, okay?
There we see them working at close quarters. Good left hand by Johnson, little right hand. He may be coming on and starting to steal these rounds. And later on in the round, another good right by Johnson. The last 6 rounds are simply going to be conditioning and will. They've both shown us what they have. How much can they each take it?
Bazan claims that he trains in a 95-degree gym. Harold, how do you have it scored halfway through?
You know, this is a pretty tough fight to score, to tell you the truth. A lot of infighting, a lot of good shots in close. I've got it 3 rounds apiece, 57-57. I've got it all even. I thought Stevie Johnston got inside real well in rounds 5 and 6 and stole them, no question. Cesar Bazan is grabbing. When a big guy grabs, the judges see it. They feel he's hurt. They feel he's doing it to tie up the little guy, to rest a bit. And he's grabbing. And Stevie Johnston won 5 and 6 because Bazan grabbed too much.
Interesting. Interpreter Ray Torres tells us that the men in Bazan's corner are telling him to stick to the pre-fight plan, try to keep Stevie Johnston away from him and at a distance. Tough to do, Roy.
Very tough to do it. I don't even think Bazan is trying to do that. I think Bazan is just fighting, doing whatever happens. When Stevie gets in close, he's fighting. When Stevie's outside, he's fighting.
You get into one of these wars, and you get into a rhythm of trading punches with your opponent. Trade, trade, trade. Is it hard to go back to a more tactical posture?
Yeah, it's very difficult because he got himself in a thing here to where he's not trying to give any ground. His opponent's not trying to give any ground. So if he gives ground right now, he's lost one part of this fight. And the corner doesn't realize that because they're not fighting, so they don't know what's really going on between the two fighters here. But if I've been fighting for my ground for 4 rounds, and he's been fighting for his ground for 4 rounds, and I made up my mind that I wasn't giving ground, then I don't care what you tell me, I'm not giving ground. If I do, I may give momentum.
Couldn't the argument be made then, Roy, though, that Bazan could step back and just use his jab and box him more and see if that works?
Yeah, that could be, but his jab is not as good as Stevie Johnston's jab so far in this fight, so he knows that's not going to really work for him right now.
Well, and you can see if Bazan steps back, Johnston's going to step forward. There may not be room to throw that jab.
So you may as well save the energy and fight with it. Now, had he came out in the beginning and started out sticking to the game plan, it'd probably been a lot easier for him to stick with it. But right now, he's got himself caught up into a battle of not giving ground.
Well, Larry talked about the question of will, and you pointed out Stevie Johnston with the heart of a champion. He has pressed his nose into Cesar Bazan's chest and managed to make it into the kind of fight he might have wanted more than what Bazan wanted. Of Bazan's 23 knockouts in his career, none of them have been past the 7th round.
I'll tell you what, you got 2 guys right here with the hearts of champions.
Break them up, please. Right there. Right there. Right there. Right there. You're doing fine, baby. You're doing fine. You got to do a little bit more. Stevie, still we no punching with authority when we go inside. Still, you just going this way. This way, this way. Reach the goddamn body, okay?
Let's go after him. We need to put the pressure on him. How do you feel? Hey, if you're feeling well, go out there and do it. We're losing the fight.
Miguel Diaz in Stevie Johnston's corner, making no secret of what he wanted. Throw the hard punches to the goddamn body and throw them as hard as you can. And you also heard Cesar Bazan's trainer telling him, you're losing the fight.
And you also saw both fighters land some big punches early in this round.
A year ago, when he won the title from Mendy in Paris, Stevie Johnston got stronger as the fight progressed and dominated the late rounds. He did it again earlier this year in February against an outstanding counterpuncher named George Scott. Could Stevie Johnston come down the stretch like a freight train the way he did in those two fights? Through round 7, by CompuBox numbers, of the 322 punches landed in the fight, 268 were power shots. So it's not a jabbing exhibition here. This is a war. Referee Lupe Garcia hasn't had to do a lot of work because these two guys have been fighting at close quarters without clinching.
And Stevie Johnston has to be careful here inside because Bazan is still throwing a very big uppercut down the middle when Stevie comes in.
Johnston trying to respond to what Miguel Diaz asked him to do, putting a little more mustard on the punches.
Good body shot by Stevie Johnston.
Right in the middle of the gut with the left hand. And now Bazan begins to hold Stevie Johnston a little bit, maybe buying a little time. Good uppercut by Bazan.
Oh, good body shot by Bazan.
Right uppercut landed once for Bazan, the second one missed. Johnston unable to make contact in that exchange. Had their moments in round number 8. Bazan landing more in the last minute of the round. There's the man who will be facing Oscar De La Hoya tonight, Patrick Charpentier. In the rules meeting yesterday, Gil Clancy from De La Hoya's corner made a huge issue about Charpentier's beard, wanted him to have it shaven off, but officials allowed Charpentier to come into the ring just as you see him there. That kind of a growth be a factor in the fight, Roy?
No, I don't think so. For one, they shouldn't be rubbing faces, so they shouldn't ever have to get to the point where his hair should be a problem.
What about cushioning the impact of punches?
No way. There's not enough hair there to cushion the impact of an Oscar De La Hoya punch.
And let's take a look at some Bazan uppercuts, Larry.
Just when Bazan seemed to be fading in the previous rounds, he came on in this round, landed some very effective uppercuts, probably won the round. We know that Stevie Johnston has been in these kinds of wars of attrition. I doubt that Bazan has ever been. He's been called on here to show his championship quality. He'll need it to win.
Well, I can say one thing. Stevie Johnston definitely has the fight that he wants. He wanted to fight inside. He needed to fight inside to have a chance to win this fight, and he's doing exactly that.
And you saw the Letterman card. He gave the 8th round to Bazan and has the fight even through 8. A lot of contact in this fight. Between them, the two fighters have already thrown more than 1,200 punches. 4 rounds yet to go, including this one. landing one right to the body there while holding Stevie Johnston's right arm. Straight right hand lands for Bazan. Stevie Johnston lands a left hand upstairs. Johnston with an uppercut inside.
Hey!
These are vicious body shots by Bazan. But Johnston not showing any ill effects. Continues to throw, continues to come forward. Good right hand to the body by Bazan. Good Johnston still bouncing.
That was a good right hook to the head by Johnston.
And Bazan has thrown two very good right hands to Johnston as well.
Every time Johnston backs up and stands still on the outside, Bazan lands that straight right hand.
Blood trickling from the right nostril of Cesar Bazan, the challenger now. He pawed at it a couple of times with his gloves. Long left hand lands for Johnston. So both fighters now bleeding slightly from the nose as round 9 comes to a close. Hard right hand by Johnston, another right hand to the body by Bazan. They're giving as good as they're getting.
Whoa!
Now, one more time. Read your man. Read to your man.
Here we see Bazan coming across with a hard right hand, landed on the forehead of Johnston. 3 or 4 inches lower, might have done some serious damage.
I'll take on. Another right hand there for Bazan. In round 9, both fighters landed 29 punches, and all of them were power shots.
And oddly enough, I called it a 10-10 round.
You and CompuBox on the same wavelength. Harold Letterman, how do you have it with 3 rounds to go?
What is this? Taking the easy way out in round 9. Cesar Bazan won round 9. I've got it 5 rounds to 4. Cesar Bazan. I've got him 86-85 by 1 point. I think that he landed the strongest shots in rounds 8 and 9 to win rounds 8 and 9. Stevie Johnston still getting inside, but Cesar Bazan was out fighting him in the 8th and the 9th round. Stevie, interestingly enough, I thought won rounds 5, 6, and 7 in a row when he got inside and out-hammered Bazan on the inside. And like you guys have been saying, it's an inside fight. Now Bazan's got to outfight him on the inside.
I have it 4 rounds apiece, 1 round even.
Bazan landed 2 good punches of his own. War of wills in El Paso. For Stevie Johnston's lightweight championship. One of those rare occasions on which you might have looked at things coming in and said, well, the challenger ought to be the favorite in the fight. It's turned out to be just about a dead even tussle between 2 exceptionally willing fighters.
Stop. In the 5. Limpio.
up in Roy Jones's developing broadcasting career coming up here between rounds. Round 10 comes to a close in what has been an exceptionally tough fight so far for Stevie Johnston and Cesar Bazan. Roy, what's up?
World Championship Boxing returns next month when one of the world's best fighters, yours truly, takes on champion Lou Del Valle in a light heavyweight title unification bout. A great night of boxing that even I wouldn't want to miss.
You won't.
Live July 18th at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Don't miss it, whatever you do.
You'll have the best view of any of us. I love your modesty, Roy. You called yourself one of the world's best fighters. How nice of you to leave room for a few others. Roy Jones against Lou Del Valle. July 18th.
There's nothing wrong with you. You got 2 more rounds to go, and you need these 2 rounds. You got to throw a lot of punches. You got to throw a lot of punches. If you don't,
Show me I'm right. Show me I'm right. This is the championship round.
Let's go. 11th and 12th rounds are the championship rounds. Stevie Johnston may have to win both of them to retain his title.
And remember, Johnston with 7 decisions in his last 8 fights, quite accustomed to going the distance. He knows how to pull fights out in the last 2 rounds. We'll see if he can do it here. Bazan's trainers, as you heard Ray Torres said, telling him, you've got to throw more punches. He's been throwing a lot.
Stevie Johnston's getting caught up in a little bit of a pushing and shoving match here, and it's causing him to be off balance a lot of times, so he can't punch.
So he's making less contact than he'd like to make.
Yes, he is.
Well, that's one of the difficulties of facing a taller guy and fighting him inside like this. Good straight left hand by Johnston as he came forward there. Johnston with a little popping right uppercut inside.
He has to keep his hands on the inside of Bazan's hand. If he doesn't, it's going to be bad for him.
Bazan releasing that right hand over the top. When Johnston gets away at distance, Bazan has the advantage of trying to set up and use that long jab. Most of the night, Stevie Johnston's been right up inside him. Good right hand for Johnston there.
This is where Stevie Johnston does not need to be. He doesn't need to stand outside and give Bazan room.
More of the same in round 11. An all-man's battle between Johnston and Bazan.
That's the last round. That's the last round. You gotta win this round. Last round. You gotta win this round. You understand?
all right, don't just stand there. You won the round. It's only 3 minutes to go. Let's go, boys.
Duro,
Paso.
Neither man has yielded. Both have left it all out there so far, Roy.
You can't ask for any better than that.
Harold, after 11 rounds.
Larry, I've got it very close. 105, 104, 6 rounds to 5, Cesar Bazan. Let me tell you something, Larry. Cesar Bazan has given Stevie Johnston every opportunity in the world to win this fight. He lets him inside, and somehow or another he manages to outfight him, and I think he's a little bit ahead. But this fight is one that could go either way. I don't think there's been a decisive round in the 11 rounds so far. The only criticism I have of Bazan is I think he holds too darn much. You got to do a little bit more punching and a lot less holding.
Oh, I have it even. Johnson came back in the last round, I thought, and stole that round. This is like a 10,000-meter run. You go out there and you just run hard all the way. You keep going and going and going.
They have to check their back for a Duracell battery, huh?
Well, Stevie Johnston worked awfully hard to win his world championship.
He worked awfully hard trying to keep it here tonight.
Absolutely, and he's making Cesar Bazan work awfully hard to try to take it away from him.
Well, let's ask a philosophical question then, Roy. In a fight like this, should the title be taken from Johnston?
Well, to be honest with you, in a fight like this, if it's so close, I think a guy should dominate the champion. And I've always been one that thought a champion deserves the respect of being a champion. And if you're going to beat the champion, I think you should dominate it. Now, in this fight, it's been so close and such a good fight until either guy could be declared the winner. So it's hard to say about this fight.
Yeah, this is a classic case of a fight that can go either way.
Either one of these guys could be my champion.
In fact, a rematch isn't a bad idea.
Wouldn't be bad at all.
Well, we haven't seen a draw in a while, and I'm not sure either man deserves to lose here.
Neither one would give him L in my book.
But if either man imposed his tactical will on the other, it was Stevie Johnston, the champion, who made Bazan fight his fight.
Yes, he did.
Take a look at your final card.
Jim, let me tell you, this one, as you said, could go either way. A tough fight to score. Nothing decisive in any of the rounds. I've got a 115, 113, Cesar Bazan. I thought he outfought Johnson clearly in the 12th round. And you remember what I always said, the challenger has to go out and win that last round because you don't know how the judges have got it. I mean, I was very strong about that in Keith Mullins and Raul Marquez. I felt the same way in this fight. I thought Cesar Bazan did win the 12th round. I think it should be enough to give him the decision in a very, very close fight.
Yeah.
Stevie Johnston, the aggressor all the way, but I thought Bazan outfought him inside.
The challenge for the judges here, Roy, is that that wasn't just a close fight. That was 12 close rounds. Every single one of them tough to call.
And that's a big challenge for the judges.
Unstat numbers in the 12th. Stevie Johnston, 21 out of 71. Cesar Bazan, 16 out of 61. Bazan probably landed the harder punches in the 12th.
Yeah, I think he most definitely landed the harder punches.
In fact, he landed the harder punches throughout the fight. But as we said, if one man imposed his tactical will on the other, it was definitely the champion who made Bazan fight his fight. Nervous moments for the fighters. Tough to wait this out. And now let's go to Michael Buffer with the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the Budweiser scorecard. Oren Schnellenberger scores the bout 116 to 112 for Johnston. David Harris has it 115 to 113 for Bazan. Omar Mintoon scores it 115 to 113 for the winner by split decision. And new champion de Ciudad de Mexico, Cesar.
Loss of Stevie Johnston's professional career after 24 consecutive wins. A stirring victory for Bazan, who fought well, but if ever a champion deserved a rematch off of his effort, Steve Johnston deserves another chance to try to gain this title back, right, Roy?
Especially coming into the challenger's hometown and putting up such an effort to hold on to his title.
Larry Merchant in the ring with the winner.
All right, thank you, Jim. Congratulations, Cesar. There have been many lightweight champions from Mexico. How do you feel about becoming a new one?
Ha habido muchos campeones ligeros de México. ¿Cómo te sientes tú ser el nuevo campeón?
Pues me siento en este momento muy contento. Logré lo que deseaba en tantos años y pues gracias a Dios salió todo bien.
I feel great. This is what I've always wanted, and I thank God for it.
Do you feel that you won the fight beyond a certainty?
¿Sentiste tú que tú ganaste la pelea y sin duda alguna?
Sí, yo pienso que hice lo que tenía que hacer y pienso que di los mejores golpes.
What I needed to do, and I felt I landed the better punches.
Would you give Steve a rematch?
¿Le das una revancha a Stevie Johnston?
Claro, ¿por qué no? Sí.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Cesar. Steve, you lose your title on a split decision by such a close vote.
Yeah.
Do you think the title should be taken away from a champion in such an occasion?
I don't know. He fought hard, but I just couldn't get together. But I want a rematch if it's possible. But I know he's a good fighter. That's all I can say.
What made him so difficult for you? It was a war. I don't think you've ever been in such a thing like this.
He's tall. I couldn't get to him. He's just too tall. And his arms, I underestimated his arm length. He's very tall.
Thank you for a terrific fight, Stevie. We'll see you again. Jim?
Final punch stat numbers in a very difficult fight for both fighters, and you can see that Bazan outlanded Stevie Johnston by 38 punches, threw 72 more punches, slightly higher percentage, so CompuBox goes along with the statistical margin for Bazan. Jab's not really a factor in the fight, as you'll see in these numbers. Interestingly, when you look at the judges' scorecards, all three of the judges favored Steve Johnston in the closing rounds of the fight. Bazan, in winning on two cards, had really won the fight in the beginning and middle round.
First matchup with Bazan, and his handlers say that was a big mistake. Stevie is the kind of guy who is only happy when he's